We are here once again inside of Firestorm, a free running and acrobatics galaxy. This is our Merino Valley location. One of our coolest, biggest, most awesome locations. And currently it's got a maximum occupancy of 2. That's me and Summit behind the camera. Because you're all at home right now. And I appreciate you letting me into your home. This is going to mark the start of our 6th long episodic series specifically for tricking. One of the best things that you can do right now is to make sure that you take a moment and clear out your living room space, move all the things out of the way to give yourself plenty of room. We're going to also be going barefoot for this. So, if you've not yet done so, if you've been at home all day and you've had your shoes off, then you're already ready. But if you have just got in from whatever outing you were in, then you're gonna have to take those shoes and socks off your feet. We're gonna go barefoot for today's tricking lesson. Now, one of the things that I would highly recommend is that you guys make sure to give yourself, again, plenty of room. We're gonna want 6 to 7 feet of room around us in either direction. This is mostly to account for if you fall over. Now, one of the things that we're going to be using today is probably going to help us to make sure that we don't fall over. It's actually a common household item. Everyone has one. I'm sure everyone does. It's a broomstick. We're going to go on ahead and take our head off of our broomstick, though, just using the stick. Keep ourselves nice and safe and secure. Don't want to accidentally damage our at-home equipment, stuff like that you want to take care of for when you actually need it for at home. Now, this is not so that we can beat each other up. This is actually going to be so that we can hold ourselves up. We can use this sort of as a sense of support and stability when we may need that for ourselves. I'm going to set that near us, off to the side, not too far. Now, we're going to talk about your fighting stance for tricking. One of the first things that we're going to have is a casual fighting stance. There are many different ones, but the one that we're going to be using today is going to have our non-dominant foot as our lead, and our dominant foot in back. Now real quick, your dominant foot is going to be the one that you primarily kick a ball with, right? For most people, it's going to be that big ball kicking foot. We're going to have that in the back. We're going to have our toe pointed out towards one of our walls in our home, towards our right wall for me in this example. Now I'm going to have my front foot forwards and pointed out and straight in front of me, towards the camera, towards me. You're pointing your foot at me at this point, right? Now, this is our casual fighting stance. Having the one foot in front and the one foot in back pointed out as if our heels would come together and make a nice little box here. We could make a square, corner of a square with our feet. That is the appropriate amount of turn on your back foot and your front foot. Taking that fighting stance, one of the things that we want to keep in mind is that it's really important for us to keep our hands up and in our upper body. If my hands are out here, out and about, they can help me balance, but this is going to lead to less coordination than more. So we're going to focus on keeping our hands in. During today's lesson, if you find that you're struggling to keep your hands in, one of the things that I tend to do is grab a hold of the collar of my shirt. Or I'll have my kids grab the collar up there. So for those of you that have never done any martial arts before, this being your first time, you may find a bit of a challenge. So we're going to break it up into as basic of a bite-sized portion as we can. First thing that we're going to do is go ahead and grab that broomstick for ourselves. Now, we're going to be able to hold this out and off to the side of us while we take our dominant leg, or our back leg, into its first movement, its first position. We're going to lift our knee up into our chest, pointing our foot down. This is our chamber, right? I'm lifting my leg up into a chamber. I don't have my pole on the ground currently. If I can balance on my own and I can hold myself in chamber, this is good. This is help if it's necessary. Now we're gonna go on ahead, we're gonna take that foot, put it back behind us. We're going to lift again our back leg into a chamber. This is our dominant leg. Some of you, this may be your left leg, that's okay. For the sake of our example and for our lesson, I'll be using my right dominant. Let's take that back behind us. We're gonna go on ahead and practice just lifting our back leg up and into that chamber position. Again, using the broomstick or not using it. We're just going to lift the knee up and in and point that toe down. I'm leaving my front foot, toes pointed towards the camera right now. Or for me, it's towards you guys, towards the TV, towards your front wall, whatever is the best reference for you. We're gonna bring that back into our casual fighting stance. Let's talk about the distance between our feet here. It's important to address that your feet are not super far apart, and that they're also not super close together. I like to keep my feet about a leg's length away from each other. So, the distance between my front foot and my back foot is maybe just shorter than a leg's length, and this is going to go different from person to person. So, we're gonna practice lifting out of our casual fighting stance into a chamber with our back leg. Lifting it in and pulling it back down. We're gonna lift it up and pull it back down. We're gonna do this just a few times to start training our body into the habit of chambering. Right now, we're currently only chambering in one direction. We're chambering our knee straight up and straight in. For several different kicks that we have that will come along later, our chamber will turn laterally. We're going to lift our leg and turn. So, what we're going to do now is practice doing so. Now, if you need that broomstick, this would be a great opportunity to go on ahead and get a hold of it. We're going to take that leg up from behind us and into our chamber. And now two things are going to happen. My bottom foot, my heel is going to swing. So my foot is going to go from pointed this way, pointed out this way, and then this left knee and my right knee and my right foot are going to lift and tilt. So I'm going to swing my heel and pull my leg into a chamber. Let's put ourselves back down into a fighting stance. We're going to take it from the bottom to the top, in that chamber here. And now we are going to turn both legs. Now holding on to that as we need it, trying to keep ourselves up primarily on the one leg. Hold that chamber in there, squeeze it. Again, my toe is still pointed. Let's reset ourselves. Now, coach, that was awkward. Coach, my hip and my glute are hurting a little bit. That's okay. You're gonna feel just a little bit of that. Don't worry, we're just starting to get those movements going. This is almost like our warm-ups. We're gonna switch over to our opposite side now so that we can really start warming up our hip flexor here. So, again, from our fighting stance, nice and strong, we're gonna take that back leg and lift it into that chamber. If we don't need that broomstick, let's not use it, right? We're gonna bring ourselves back. We're gonna do this just a few more times. Lift ourselves up, keep ourselves balanced, bring ourselves back. Hands up, knee in, keep that foot in the toe-pointed position, bring it back down. Do this just a few more times. Hold it for a moment, bring it back down. Lift into chamber. Now this is your opposite side. So this broomstick may be very beneficial for you in these movements. Let's do it one last time. Lift that chamber up nice and high. Get your knee up towards your shoulder and your chest. Toe point down below us. Bring it back down. That slight turn like we did before. Now, either way that you do this, it will be awkward. It can be challenging. Coach, I'm really having a tough time. You can, if you really need to, use two different broomsticks. Hold yourself up to your best advantage, right? One of the best things that we can do right now in this time is still make sure that we're effectively training our bodies. So we're really going to do everything in our power to stay on our planted leg while we get this full movement through our back leg. Now, again, we're going to lift into our chambered position. Our chamber is going to turn and tilt sideways so that our leg lays flat like a table. This can be very awkward and very uncomfortable if I do not also turn my planted leg. That heel should swing. This bottom foot, that heel is going to swing just like that. From the start of my fighting stance up to my chamber end, it swings right there so that I can turn myself in the second portion of my chamber. Let's practice chambering and turning on our opposite side just a few more times. Again, broomstick when necessary. If not, then it's not. So big lift, pivot, and get that turn, repivot, and then replace that foot, making sure to keep that strong fighting stance. And I'll lift it, turn and turn, then turn in place. And again, lift it, turn and turn. Now you can see my body leans a little bit. This counterbalance, oh no. Without the counterbalance or with too much counterbalance, I'll find myself falling out. So, making sure that I only lift a comfortable and casual amount, that's good for me. If I have a sibling that's done martial arts before, and they're lifting their knee up quite a lot higher, that's okay. It's not a matter of comparing myself to my sibling and trying to do what they're doing. It's a matter of doing the best that I can for myself, right? That self-focus is super helpful. We're gonna do just a few more from that opposite side. I know it's awkward, you guys will be fine. Lift into that chamber, swing and turn. Take it slow, keep your balance, pull it back, bring it back. Let's do that just one last time. Opposite side. Lifting the chamber, swing and turn, or chamber, bring it back, bring it back. The more strong and balanced that we are doing these slow movements, the better all of our kicks are going to be later. Now, we have really just started warming up our hips and getting our ankles and our knees to do a little bit of workout. We're going to take a nice wide stance. We're going to do a couple controlled torso twists. If you have your broomstick, keep it in close. Don't smack your friends. Don't smack your family. This is not the goal. The goal is to keep ourselves in a controlled and maintained environment. Right? Nice. We're going to do a couple of our hip circles as well. Make sure that you isolate as much of the spine as you can. Really roll the hips out. After having done some of our chambering drills, learning about our fighting stance, moving our knee through from back to in front, we really start to find that our hips are getting a lot of warm up. And it's important to mobilize them the appropriate way. So we haven't really done any jumping or running or anything too crazy. We've just really been moving our leg through its standard range of motion. Let's go to the opposite direction now. Maintaining that idea that we're just moving it slowly and controlled through its standard range of motion. What we're going to start to do now is warm up and pick up the pace and the intensity. We are going to practice one of our first kicks. It's one of my favorite kicks, and it's called a front snap. Okay? Now, many of you may already know this kick or be familiar with this kick, but what you may not know is that it's one of my favorite for exhibition purposes. Now, exhibition and combat are two very entirely different environments. Many of the things that we're doing here today are for exhibition purposes. This is like showing off. Now, if I wanted to practice self-defense, I would highly recommend that we, once we're out of our quarantine, we go and we actually get into a good martial arts class, practice something like Taekwondo. That's going to help to really create a good fundamental understanding of your legs, balancing, and using your feet. Or something like Wushu, which is a little bit more of a straight leg, straight form, fuller body movement for our martial arts. Both of those are the two primary practices that I've drawn upon for my tricking background. So I highly recommend finding a studio that teaches specifically those near you. Now, getting back into things. Our first kick, our front snap. It looks like this. Take my fighting stance, I chamber up through the front and the middle, and I strike using the top of my foot. I keep my toe nice and pointed. I'm going to demonstrate from the side. Big lift in the chamber, and then front snap, extending, re-chambering, coming back into my fighting stance. You can see this is not me just flicking my foot out. It is highly beneficial to envision that there's a target, some sort of paddle that you may have. I have one here. Super helpful, because now we can see or feel what part of the foot we're really supposed to be striking with. And our goal is to make good contact at the top of the foot with our paddle. For you, it might be a couch cushion. It's definitely not your little brother or your little sister. Don't kick them. But you are going to want to, even if you can't hold it for yourself, grab that couch cushion, grab a hold of it. We're going to take our fighting stance, put it in your hand that's out in front of you more. We're going to really drive our knee up into a chamber and try and touch that with the top of our foot, keeping our toe pointed. Just try and touch that pad for right now. Bring ourselves back, bring it up, and try and touch it with the top of the foot. Now, the more explosive and the faster that you move through this, the easier it is for you to hit your target. For me, mine comes with a sound. You're probably not going to get a sound like that out of your couch cushion. You might get a sound like that out of your little brother, though. Please be very careful. And remember, this is again for exhibition, not for fighting purposes. So, we're going to take our target out in front of us, keep our hands up and in. We're going to lift our back leg into that chambered position, and then we're going to front snap by extending that foot out, then re-chambering, pulling the heel back into our butt, and putting it back down on the ground, out-turning in our casual fighting stance. So again, our front snap, just like that. Very casual kick, facing straight forward. Doesn't require too much movement. I'm keeping my front foot planted. That means my heel is down and on the ground. So that way I know I have a firm connection with the floor. So when I go and I put power into my movement, I'll be able to use it effectively if I ever need to. Again, having my pad here in front of me, fighting stance strong, I can kick the pad. If I have someone that's there holding the paddle for me, this gives me a great opportunity to really practice keeping my hands up and in. Again, you can grab the collar of your shirt if you need to, so that we can practice our kick while practicing good posture. But it is absolutely imperative that we do not forget to practice on our opposite side. So let's take a brief pause, and let's switch to our non-dominant fighting side. This is not going to be comfortable, just like it wasn't comfortable when we practiced lifting into our chamber. But if I'm being entirely honest with you, having that momentum and doing the action, doing the kick, does usually help to create this sense of balance and stability and security in the movement that we're looking for. Doing your movement so slow that you have to have the broomstick to help keep you up can make it very challenging to gain actually from that practice. So, we're going to go on ahead and take that fighting stance. Hands are going to be up. We're practicing our front snap just on our opposite side. And now you guys will see my front snap is a little bit lower and a little bit slower on this side. That's because it's my non-dominant side. And most people are this way. Taking the time to practice their kicks on both sides can really help to create that sense of balance that we're looking for. Now, we're going to take a brief pause here, and go get a quick drink of water. Those of you that are at home that are just getting into it, we've just practiced our front snap, only our front snap. It's going to be a few more kicks in today's lesson. And then following that, I would highly recommend that if you missed our earlier stream, that you go check out our parkour stream, or the one before that, that started our Acro flex routine. That one's going to be an amazing stream. Highly, highly recommend that you pair Acro flex and tricking as far as your guys' streaming content for this next upcoming live. That should have been more than enough time to get a quick drink of water. We're going to move on to our next kick. This kick is going to be our roundhouse kick, and it looks more like this. So our roundhouse kick is similar to our front snap in its delivery, because we're going to be coming into a chambered position, hold the leg up, and then we're going to be extending from the chamber into our strike. Then we're re-chambering. That means that we're pulling that leg back in. So the only difference here is that using that little bit of that heel swing and that hip turn from our earlier drill, we're going to now be able to execute our kick. Instead of it being up and down on this straight plane, straight in front of us and straight up above us, we're now going to be able to kick laterally and across the horizontal plane. This new plane is a little bit more spicy, to say the least. That is where we start to see the exhibition movements coming together a little bit more full in their display. So we're going to start to open up and start using that strike across here. But taking our fighting stance, we're going to have our broomstick ready if we need it. We're going to lift into our chambered position, and we're going to swing our heel and turn our chamber. We're going to hold that chambered round position. So we're going to bring the knee in, swing the heel, and turn, and hold that chambered round position. Now, from here, what I would like to see is that we can almost, if we need to, balance our broomstick across our leg. It should lay nice and flat, like a table. Now, if you're lifting into your chamber, and your chamber is down out of 45, this would mean that your kick is going to come across in a very funky way. Our goal, again, is to get from that fighting stance, it's all reset, take our strong, casual fighting stance, and to lift into that chamber and turn ourselves nice and flat across for our roundhouse kick. So, we're going to lift, turn, then try and execute our strike, come back with that re-chamber, and pull ourselves back through. That's our first roundhouse kick. We're going to take it nice and slow at first, like for all of our kicks. The slower that you can do the kick more successfully, the better it will be when you do it in full speed. Which might sound a little convoluted, but it just means faster is easier. So if you can do it slow, you can do it hard. It means you can do it well later. Okay? So let's take our dominant side through our roundhouse kick just a few more times before we switch to our non-dominant. We're going to take that up and into a chamber, swing the heel, turn the body stance, strike, re-chamber, pull the foot through, replace it, finish in our fighting stance. We're going to do that 3 more times to a total of 5 roundhouses. Again, up and through, turn, strike, re-chamber, back into our fighting stance. Now, without this, and done in full speed, our roundhouse is more like this. Right? That would be 4. And let's do number 5. Up, turn, strike, back, and down. Right? Now, on your opposite side, you will find executing your roundhouse on your dominant side. Being on our non-dominant side now, we're going to be taking ourselves into our fighting stance, and again, just going through the motion of chamber, heel swing, and turn, trying to be mindful of that flat platform, sort of, that I want to turn my leg into. It should be nice and level. Trying to keep it flat again. So, from our fighting stance, non-dominant fighting stance or switch stance, we're going to go up to our chamber, swing, turn, strike, return, right? So that's our strike, re-chamber, and replace ourselves in our fighting stance. So we're going to do that 4 more times on the opposite side, nice and slow and controlled. Up to chamber, turn, we're going to strike through, re-chamber, and replace in our fighting stance. 3 more, looking good everyone. Big lift up, big turn, big strike, big return for that re-chamber, and bring ourselves back into our fighting stance. Slow, strong, and controlled. We've got 2 more. Lift up, turn, strike, return, return. Last one. If we don't need our broomstick, let's not use it. We're going to lift, turn, strike, return, and replace ourselves for the last of our roundhouse kicks. Woo! Now, you should be feeling that down here. These are your glutes. These are your butt muscles. They're getting a little bit sore. They're getting a little bit over-workout. They've probably not been used that way too much. So we're going to go on ahead and give ourselves a nice little, almost horse stance, very wide front side stance is what we refer to this as. This is a position that we come through in tricking many, many movements. But we're going to sit into that front side stance, put our hands onto the inside of our knees, push those knees open a little bit, stretch out our hips. Let's go ahead and squat our bottom down. Down, 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 just a little bit. Good. And let's straighten out. Big lock in the legs. I'm just pushing my hips back now. Stretching out my hamstrings. That's the back side of my quads. Really pushing my weight through my hips. And now we're going to stand on up. And for those of you that need it, now would be a great opportunity to go get a quick drink of water before we get started on our next kick. So, I'm personally going to grab a quick sip. You guys, I'll be with you in just a moment. Opportunity for you guys to get a quick drink of water. I'm just going to get my broomstick, get ready for our next kick. The next kick that we're going to talk about is actually our hook kick. We're going to be using our lead leg for our hook kick. Now, a hook kick will not be us striking in this term with the top of our foot, but instead we're going to be striking with the bottom of our foot. So, a hook kick, just standing, is going to look like this. We take our casual fighting stance, and I'm going to now chamber my front leg instead of my back leg. Chambering that leg, I'm going to turn. My hip is going to tilt in position, and so that way I'll be striking across this horizontal plane with the bottom of my foot. Hook kick. Right? For all intents and purposes, very basic, very small, very easy hook kick for an example for you guys. Again, once more, our hook kick. I'm pulling my foot straight across and finishing that strike by re-chambering and pulling my foot back in towards my butt. So, from my fighting stance here, I'm actually going to be lifting my front knee into a chamber. We're going to take our time and do this movement just a few times before we move on into the strike. So we're going to go from our fighting stance, we're going to lift that knee and put it back down. You can see that I lean back and I shift my weight back over my back leg just a little bit when I lift into that chamber and put my foot back down. Now because my back foot and my planted foot is already upturned, this means that my hips are technically in a position where I can close them, or I can open them. Closing your hip and opening your hip is just the act, really, of bringing your legs together or bringing them apart. So as you can imagine, if I were a book, I would be opening my hips, opening the book, and closing my hips, or closing the book. So in my fighting stance, as I go to do this hook kick with my leg in front, I'm going to lift that up into a chamber, and I'm really going to have pretty closed hips when I tilt my leg over. So I lift up and I tilt my leg over. I'm going to pull my knee back around towards the back side of my body, push my heel of my foot out. So that's going to look something more like this. From that fighting stance, big lift to chamber, turn that knee and pull it across my body. Then the last bit is where I'm going to be pushing that foot out. So you can see I'm starting to reach my leg out. My leg is going to fall pretty immediately. Unless I'm really strong or really well trained, and I can keep my leg up. This is a great opportunity to grab your broomstick. We're going to lift ourselves up into that fighting stance, up into that chamber for our front leg, and turn the hip. And now I can reach my foot out and across, draw a big straight line with my leg, and re-chamber, putting my foot back in front of me. Now, I'm sure that this is done very, very easily if you just throw your foot in the air. But we're not throwing our feet here. We're practicing demonstration of our kick, really trying to use the appropriate part of our foot. We're going to be striking with the bottom side of our foot, primarily with a toe point for the exhibition aspect of our tricking. From our fighting stance, use your broomstick if you need to. We're going to lift up, turn, reach, strike, re-chamber, and return. And I know it sounds like a lot of parts, but it's because it's a lot of moving parts. In order to demonstrate this kick, I had to take it that way. Now, you should all be able to, if you have someone in the home with you, a sibling or parent on the couch in the back there, maybe they can get up and they can help hold a paddle or a stuffed animal for you. Anything really. If there's any soft target that you have, having a target helps, and it will always help. It's the act of spotting a target when delivering your kick. So currently I'm spotting the camera, imagining as if I'm kicking straight through the TV screen into your guys' house. And I'm reaching my foot out, demonstrating that kick, pulling my leg back in, and then putting my foot back down in my fighting stance. We're going to try a few of our hook. Again, this may feel awkward because it's your left leg in the front. This is my non-dominant leg. However, we're on my dominant fighting stance. So having a good sense of both legs is going to be incredibly imperative for all tricking. Now we're going to do that hook just a few more times. Big lift up, big reach, big kick, return, put our foot down. Just a few more. Boom, boom, boom. Just like that. Big lift up, tilt, reach, kick, re-chamber, bring our foot back. Getting used to the act of bringing our foot out and around, really delivering a kick out to the audience, and then bringing our leg back in and under us. We're going to go on ahead, switch to our opposite side now. Now, if you need the broomstick, super helpful. If you don't, we're going to be taking ourselves through the movements a little bit quicker here on this one. Because this is your dominant leg. This is the leg you kick a ball with. This is primarily the leg that you'll understand how to use. So, we're going to get into that lift, that turn, that reach, and re-chamber at the end. Try and get as much of an exaggeration of your kick across this lateral plane as possible. Again, in and up, turn, out, reach, big line I've drawn, bring myself back into my fighting stance. And we're going to do that just a few more times. In and across, out and across. Bring yourself back. Slow and control always wins that race. So let's do it again. In and across, out and across. Bring it back to the re-chamber. put the foot back down. Counterbalancing with your body by leaning, like you guys see me doing, is super important because well, the weight of your leg, way out there, will inevitably, eventually drag you out over there. So if that weight moves and it comes back, then we only need to balance for a moment. And so that's when we counterbalance by leaning just over a slight distance away from our kick, the direction of our kick, the direction of our chamber. Almost any time we lift our leg up, we're going to counterbalance. So understanding counterbalance is going to be key for a lot of your later moves. Again, we're going to do another one of those with our hook kick with that lead leg and our non-dominant side. So let's chamber across the body. Big reach out, big kick, big rechamber, and then replace that down at the bottom to finish. Now, shake those legs out. We are killing it so far, guys. We're gonna go on ahead and we're gonna take this space that we're in and we're gonna do our first little combo just using those few kicks that we just learned today. Now, one of the things that we're going to talk about before we start our combo is again that this is not for you to hurt people. This is something that you're supposed to be able to casually do to get a good workout. That's fun fitness. And to actively use parts of your body that you otherwise couldn't use or wouldn't use in certain workouts. So keep in mind that while we do this combo, and remember that it's for you, not for fighting, right? So from our fighting stance, we're gonna start by doing our front snap, bringing your knee up and through, then coming right back, dropping that foot into the ground. When that foot hits the ground, we're gonna bounce up off the ground. So our front snap will come through, it will come back, and it will bounce right away off the ground into our turn and our chamber for our roundhouse, where we then bring it back and put our foot back behind us. So we're gonna put those two kicks together just like this. Fighting stance, good and strong, squared. I have a target that I'm imagining. I'm going to spot my target. And now I'm ready to do strike one and strike two. Let's do that 2 more times on this side, and then we'll do those 2 kicks on our opposite side. We're gonna go 1 and 2, but don't forget, from that first kick, we're pulling that leg all the way back, then coming through for that roundhouse. So our front snap, 1, and our roundhouse, 2. Good. Our front snap, 1, and our roundhouse, 2. Nice. Let's give those 2 kicks a shot on our opposite side now. We're gonna put ourselves into our fighting stance, and again, our front snap, and it comes all the way through. We bounce off of that placement. So as we finish that front snap, I'm already moving into my rechamber for my roundhouse, just like that. So let's do that a few more times on our non-dominant side. Taking our fighting stance nice and strong. Again, keeping in mind that if you need to, you can hold the collar of your shirt, or you can hold onto your broomsticks, and let's get that combo, right? So 1 and 2. Let's do it again. 1 and 2. Nice. Let's give it one last time. Nice and strong fighting stance. 1 and 2. Nice. Now we're going to incorporate our hook kick. So that last kick that we learned independently, we're now going to add on to the end of this series of movements. The one thing that we're going to talk about before that is the fact version of our hook kick. We're going to be using our first transition movement, where we will then do a step over, and we are going to then execute our hook kick. So our spinning hook will look like this. I'll go from my fighting stance. I will take my front leg back so that I am nearly in a front frontside stance, like a horse stance. Then I will step over with my back leg. So I'm in a backside stance. This is like horse stance, or like frontside stance, but my back is facing you. So our step over is just literally this step here. Now I can spot over my shoulder. Now when I lift my left leg into the chamber, you'll see it's just like it was for the start of our hook kick. Now I'm already wound up, so to speak. So I'm unwinding for my hook kick, making my spinning hook kick a much bigger movement. So our hook kick started with that chamber across the body where we big kick out like that. But now we're gonna go, and let's try it from a front side stance. We're going to step over, and then we're going to chamber and hook kick. Our body spins around as we do that. That gives us our spinning hook kick. Does that make sense? I'm hoping so. Because now things get a little spicy. We're gonna add our hook kick, we're gonna add our spinning hook kick, we're gonna put it together, and we're gonna do our first combo at home, right? Our first combo is just going to be a series of our front snap, our roundhouse, stepping over with our kick for a roundhouse, helping us to produce our spinning hook kick. Now, when we see I end in now my switch fighting stance, and that's okay. You're going to find that you go fluidly from fighting stance to front side to back side, to fighting stance to switch fighting stance, to front side to back side. Your body is going to move around. The stance changes will happen often. So if you feel like you're getting flustered or you're moving and your feet aren't matching, it's okay. Take it slow. It does take a lot of patience. Martial arts is not a fast thing. Tricking, for as quickly as you see people move, it is not gained that quickly, not nearly. It takes a lot of time to practice fundamental kicks like our front snap and our roundhouse, or our standing hook kick before we practice our spinning hook kick. Right? So, our whole combo, let's take it to our dominant casual fighting stance and start from the top. Hold on to ourselves nice and tight, keep good control. Now, it may be very challenging for you to use the broomstick for this one. And if you can't do these kicks without the broomstick, then highly, highly recommended that you practice them first. Now we're going to be taking our hands off the broomstick all the way today. We're getting our hands up and into our fighting stance, and or holding onto the collar of our shirt. We're going to be pulling up, front snap, return, roundhouse. When I put my foot down, I land backside stance. So now, I'm staring at my friends and family. They're not here, it's okay. But now I'm looking there. Now looking back over at where my target will be, I'm going to deliver my hook kick. Spotting a target, imagining that it's my high school math homework. I'm gonna kick it, I'm gonna send it, get it out of here. But that spotting is a huge aspect. So if you're not spotting a target, please do so now. We're going to take it from the top and in a fuller speed. Going from our fighting stance to our front snap, to our roundhouse, to our spinning hook. Not breaking the movement apart, you can see that it's really starting to flow together. So we're going to take it again. And note that I'm on my dominant fighting stance now, but when I finish this, I'll be in a switch fighting stance. That's going to be important for practice in a moment. Fighting stance, big front snap, return, roundhouse, step over, spot, spinning hook kick, pull that left foot behind me. Now I'm ready to mirror that combo on my opposite side, having my right foot in front, my left foot in back. I'm in my non-dominant side. Now I can go front snap, return, roundhouse, step over, and then sitting hook. So, taking it from the start of our dominant side, we'll go in, fighting stance, front snap, roundhouse, step over, spinning hook, non-dominant fighting stance, front snap, roundhouse, step over, spinning hook. Ta-da! So, we've learned our first combo, practicing a lot of the basic and most fundamental movements for all of our tricky and moving forwards. Now, if you haven't got water, I would highly recommend that you do so. I'm going to get a quick sip myself. This next part is going to be designed specifically to stretch our hips and our glutes out because, well, our legs just got the workout today. They just got it, just right now. So, we should take care of that. Get your water, I'll get mine. Okay. First, we're going to do some work for our legs now. And good work for our legs is the goal. We're going to stretch them out. And we're going to make sure that all of the kicks that we are currently working on get the opportunity to make those the best that they can by adding to our flexibility to do so. We're going to start by going into a pike stretch, sitting down, really pointing those toes, stretching our legs out nice and strong. We're going to sit our spine up, and we're going to fold our belly button down towards our knees and our chins towards our toes. Trying to keep this strong, straight posture, reaching out with your body, not just with your arms. Right? Now, if we can pull this off for our stretch, wonderful. The thing I would like for you to do is to push yourself to the point where you can get as close as you can to grabbing under your calves and pulling your elbows to the ground, but still maintaining that straight, strong spine. I don't want you rounding down, cheating to yourself. We're going to hold that pike stretch just a little bit longer, and we're going to sit ourselves up and out of it. We're going to go on ahead and open our legs up into a nice big straddle stretch. For our straddle here, one of the things that I like to do is, well, pin one heel into the ground and slide my other outwards, front to back sort of. So now I can get my straddle as wide as possible from the start. My feet super flexed right now. But our goal is to really point those toes out and down. Now, I'm again using my belly, my abdomen, to really pull my spine up super strong, super straight, and to push my whole spine out and down in front with me as I reach out into the space between my feet. Keeping those toes pointed, really squeezing. You may even cramp in the bottom of your feet if you're really curling your toes and squeezing very tight. That's okay. If you do find yourself cramping, remember, stretching is not something that we do lazily. It requires a little bit of additional effort. So, good on you. You're going to go on ahead and reach both hands and both arms up to our right foot, reaching up and over the top and bringing my whole torso down, trying not to curl and round my body so much, but keep my straight, strong spine as I reach out and overhead. Now, you should be feeling some of this in your obliques, but the wider that you keep your hips open, the more that you should end up feeling this towards your hamstrings and the back of your thigh itself. Right? Let's reach up and over and down to our opposite side as well. Now again, try not to curl and round your belly. Squeeze. Keep your spine and your body strong. Real real big reach up and over the top, overhead, lean in, curling those feet down, toes pointed, very strong toe point. And return back to this space here in the center. We're going to go on ahead, keep our knees wide. We're going to try and bring our feet together while keeping our knees wide. This is going to be our butterfly stretch. Get the flat of those feet pressed firmly to each other. And then, instead of grabbing our toes or the blades of our feet, instead, we're going to grab a hold of the area right here on the shin, low shin. Now, I'm going to pull my feet in towards my chest and simultaneously pull my chest up through my shoulders. Take a nice deep breath in your nose and out your mouth. And while we're here, keeping our strong, straightened posture, we're going to press our elbows into the curve and the bend of the top of our calf, right into the side of our knee. We're going to pull in on our feet and press down on our elbows to open up this butterfly a little bit more. And you guys can see that action, pulling up on the feet, pushing down on the elbows. The last thing that I'm doing is pulling my spine straight up and in front of me. Nice. Good job, everyone. I can tell you're feeling the burn. I know I am. Now, we're going to go on ahead and bring those in, curl those in. We're going to put one leg out nice and straight over the top. We're going to cross the one leg over the other. We're going to do a little bit of a Hollywood stretch here. This means I'm going to take my right elbow to my left knee. I'm going to press that on the outside of my left knee so I can push myself into twist, where I then get to stretch my lower back and my obliques. Turn and look all the way around behind you as you twist. Don't forget, very important that you breathe in the nose and out the mouth. We're going to go on ahead and release from this Hollywood and switch to our opposite side. Hold that leg in super close. I'm now taking my left elbow to the outside of my right knee, pushing this way with my elbow into my leg to get that hip to come off the ground a little bit. And now, posting using my right arm, I'm going to turn and push and twist, get all sorts of pops and cracks and clicks and disassociated noises from my body right now. This part's falling apart, or being put together. It's nice. So, finishing that little bit of our lower back stretch, we're then going to switch over and get back into our hips and our hamstrings. We're going to start by doing a knee down lunge. So we're going to have one knee down, toes pointing out right behind us. We're going to put our front foot up in front of us. This is our knee down lunge. We're going to try and bring our hips to our front heel, just like so. Try and keep your body square, keep your hips squared. You don't want your body turning outwards here. We want to try and keep your hips nice and square as we push them down in through the front. Some of you may find that your hips get all the way down by your heel. Now you're not feeling your stretch. I am not those of you. I am lacking flexibility. And so I'll be watching Coach Summer and her live stream tomorrow morning when I'm trying to gain my acrobatic flexibility. Now, from here, we're going to push this leg straight, and push our hips back, and then try and bring our chest, our torso down onto the top of our front leg. Keep this toe pointed. Knee is a little bent. My goal is to really lock that knee down. Get that full extension through the leg, as straight as can be, toe point included. Now, straighten out that spine, just like we did for our pike stretch. And you should feel plenty of stretch down here in the bottom of your hamstring. That's the area under your thigh. Once we feel like we've got plenty of stretch there,
We're going to push ourselves back out into a lunge, plant our hands out nice and flat, and slowly walk our front leg out into a split as close as we feel we can get comfortably. Coach, this is all she's got, and that's okay, guys. Not all of us have our full split. So for this position here, again, try not to have your hips turn out, try not to have your back leg turn out. Keep that leg straight. Keep your hips squared and straight. Keep those toes pointed. Keep your weight in and over your hips. Look, Mom, no hands. I'm almost in splits. Boy, howdy. They're not coming too easily, though. But maybe we'll see at the end of our tricking if I don't already have my front and back split. And if I followed enough of Coach Summer and her flexibility. We're going to go on ahead, bring ourselves back in out of that. Woo! We can fall over sideways if we need to. Coach, oh my goodness. That was great. I'm done. No. Opposite side. So, again, knee down lunge. We're going to have our knee down, toes pointed, so that our foot is nice and flat behind us. Then, my front leg is in that nice bent position, nice and strong. I'm going to go on ahead and bring my hips down from behind me towards my front heel. Ooh, and I'm feeling some big decompression in my hip here. I just felt the biggest, gnarliest pop. You guys probably will never have heard it, but I felt it. It was something else. Now, keeping those hips square and strong, not letting them turn out. Keeping those hips square and strong, hips coming down towards the heel. Nice big push. And then we're going to take this front leg, we're going to extend it, we're going to sit our hips back. So let's extend that front leg. Nice straight leg here. Hips come back, bringing myself together, bringing my belly button down towards my knee, keeping my spinal posture nice and straight, trying not to round at the body, right? Trying to keep my shoulders up and back. Woo. Trying to keep my torso down still. Trying to keep this stretch on the back of my knee and my hamstring. Well, this is definitely my non-dominant side. And I can tell right away from the way this stretch feels that my next stretch is not gonna feel so good. But it's important, regardless of how uncomfortable it may feel, that we push ourselves. Our stretching should be slightly uncomfortable. It really should. Let's go ahead and pull ourselves into the next movement. That's going to be our full front to back split. Or as close as we can get. Totally fine to walk that toe out just a little bit, inch by inch. Or you can go on ahead, pick the toe up off the ground, waddle the heel out and into place. I'm going to ask that we point that toe still though. And again, that we don't let our hips turn outward. That we keep our hips square, straight, in alignment, that we move ourselves into our split as close as we can get. Have respect for your stretches, because they don't care who you are. If you don't do them, they won't benefit you. Nice. We're going to go on ahead, bring ourselves out of that one. Ooh. I like to lean over and fall over slightly sideways. And, well, it's pretty much everything that we got for you today. We're going to ask you guys to stay tuned for a bunch more of our streaming. We are all currently in a time of confusion, I would say, as a planet. We're all really looking for something to do. So if you're enjoying yourself, or if you enjoy Firestorm as one of our members, one of the families that's been with us forever, then this is a great opportunity for you to share that with your community. We are going to be streaming pretty consistently. We have a stream that's going to be happening on Saturdays. That's from 9 to 10. That's going to be an acrobatic flex. That's a part of an ongoing series that Coach Summer is currently leading. And she's going to be teaching you guys a bunch of what you can do to benefit yourselves during the 6 weeks that we are kind of cooped inside of our homes what we can do to get, you know, flexibility that's going to last not just this 6 weeks, but will hopefully last the rest of our lives. You know, to try and take this moment and find our silver lining. One of the other things that we have going on is our parkour series. I just did our first episode of that earlier today. So that's going to be streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Parkour is going to be streaming on the weekdays from 3 to 4. So if you guys are curious and want to jump into the live stream, Parkour is going to have an AMA and ask me anything. So during our stretches at the end, we all get to sit down, do our stretches, and talk and ask questions about what happened in today's online class. So if you guys are interested, follow all of our streams, follow them live, follow them when you get a chance to get home, but no matter what, follow them, keep your head up, and involved in something good and fun and physical. Hey guys, from our Firestorm family to yours, thanks for having us. Have a good night.